Bruce. Most of you guys are muted. Don't feel like you have to. And are we recording, Mark?
We are recording.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I will go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask for approval of the agenda.
Kyle, I think we should add to the agenda a resignation from the DDA board.
Let's do that. Do you have a suggestion, Thad, where to put that?
I would just put it under new business.
Okay. Thank you. New business C. Thank you, Thad. Anybody else? Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion from Karen, second support from Thad. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think we're doing roll calls, aren't we, Kelly?
We probably should, yes.
All right, thank you, Kelly.
All right. Tamara DePonio?
Yes.
Barry Lind?
Not present.
Oh, okay. Kyle Mosier?
Yes.
Thad Taylor?
Yes.
Jody Walter?
Yes.
James Boudry?
Yes.
Bruce Allen?
You're muted, Bruce.
Yes.
Thank you. Ken Urban?
Yes.
And Karen Goodman?
Yes.
Passed.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Public comment. All right, thanks for joining us. Item 4, presentation on river water housing project.
Great. I guess I can start talking if that's all right.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thank you. My name is Kitty Tynstra. I am the Executive Director with the Oceana County Housing Commission Nonprofit Corporation. And I'd like to just thank you for letting us come and join you this morning and share about the proposed development that we would like to bring down to Manistee. I'm joined here today by Kendra Thompson, our architect, as well as Ann Martin, who is going to run the PowerPoint for us. And he is our development consultant. So we've worked together on a number of projects. The Oceana County Housing Commission Nonprofit Corporation, it's a long mouthful of a name, but we work as a nonprofit in doing property development. As many of you are aware, there's a huge housing shortage across the state. And so our mission and our goal is to provide more opportunities for quality, decent, and affordable housing in the West Michigan region. So we have a total of 3 projects already that we have completed or are in process. We did Woodland Place Apartments in Hart. We just finished our Cottages at Griswold Senior Housing Development in Hart as well. And our Shelby Trails project in Shelby is currently underway. So what we'd like to talk to you today, though, is about the river water development for downtown Manistee. And this project is going to be at what we're calling the Livery Building at 443 Water Street. This has been Tom Amor's sign building and his adjoining parcels. And the Dairy Building, which is at 451 and 453 River Street. We've referred to these prior as the Jones Building and the Amor Building because Wayne Jones owns the River Street property. But the livery and the dairy really reflect what their historic uses were back at the turn of the century. And so that's what we're calling them now. We wanted to reflect a little bit of that connection to the past. So go ahead and go to the next slide, Ellen.
You're seeing my screen, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So we actually started working on a different development in Manistee that some of you may have heard about before, and that was our Monroe Cottages project. And that was a project that we submitted in the June 1st Mishta tax credit round. That was also for senior housing, and it was located on the St. Mary's Church site that's currently owned by the Manistee County Council on Aging. And so we had a partnership with them on that project. Unfortunately, that was one of the most competitive tax credit rounds we've seen in a number of years, and the project was not funded that round. We have not given up on it, but there was definitely some pieces that we need to improve on for competitiveness. At that time, the opportunity came to us to look at the Tom Amore property as a potential development site. And with that change of location, it really changes how successful our application may be for tax credits. And so we've begun going through that process. Go ahead, Al. So we've, as I mentioned before, so we started this journey with the Monroe Cottages project, and now we've moved to the River Water site. Our focus is still on seniors. And the reason that we're focusing on seniors is because they're the largest age cohort in Manistee. The majority of the population is 50 years and older, and that population is continuing to grow. It's forecasted to continue to grow over the next several coming years. And the needs that we're seeing for seniors with their housing are going to be different than other age cohorts. For example, a lot of seniors are needing to downsize. They're wanting to go from home ownership units into rental units because the maintenance factor, they don't have yard work or snow work or interior maintenance or exterior maintenance to deal with. And as folks are aging, that's becoming a huge concern. As you're not able to keep up with your housing, you require more supports, and that can really put an impact on your life and whether or not you can actually stay in your home and ultimately in your community. And as we know, most seniors, most people in general want to stay in their community, especially where they have their natural support systems. There's continuing to be a persistent need for housing that is decent and affordable for seniors in Manistee County. Since we have begun even the Monroe Cottages project with very, very little advertising of any kind, it's basically been, articles in the newspaper about the potential housing of that project. We've had over 65 seniors reach out to us and express their interest in housing. And so we've continued to pursue this because we believe that there's not only just a strong need for it within the community, but that it aligns with the master plan and the goals that the city of Manistee has. So with the master plan, you specifically state in the master plan that you want to have specific consideration for senior housing within the city, that you want to maintain existing housing, you want to expand assisted living options, but you also want to set aside senior housing space that is used solely by seniors since their needs differ from other age cohorts. So we're trying to really align with the goals of the city as well. Yeah? All right. So in particular, with the residential portion of the master plan, and this ties in with our proposed location of River Street and Water Street downtown, is that the downtown have a variety of housing opportunities. So we've seen a lot of the second and third floor commercial space in the downtown district rehabbed and turned back into rental units, which is fantastic. It's a very vital and important piece of economic growth in a community to mix that commercial use on the first floor with residential use on the stories above. And that really creates a much more vibrant, busy, walkable downtown, and it draws in more and more investment. Go ahead, Elle. So within the intent of The Central Business District, again, it talks about encouraging a broad range of compatible retail, service, entertainment, and residential uses to form a vibrant, walkable, and attractive district. So again, this is, we're trying to make sure that we're meeting community needs, but also aligning with community goals. Go ahead, Al. So one of the wonderful features of this location is that Manistee, the city of Manistee, has 4 redevelopment ready sites, one of which is the site that we have selected for this housing development. And the other 3 sites are within a 1-mile radius. So it's exciting to have some development happen when you have the redevelopment ready sites. And it only really kind of encourages more developers and more opportunities to come in to a community and to develop on those other sites once some momentum has been. So our team, I introduced a few of them earlier, is my organization, the Oceana County Housing Commission Nonprofit Corporation, as the developer of this project. So we are the main entity that's spurring this on. And as I mentioned before, obviously we're based out of Oceana County, but we have provided services for many years in Oceana, Mason, Lake, Newaygo, and even Manistee County as well. And so we have some familiarity with the needs and the challenges that housing faces in our more rural communities. We are working with Kendra Thompson as our architect. She is, I'm sure, very locally well known by many of you. West Construction will be our general contractor. And one of the points that we really try to pride ourselves on in terms of our contractors and our subcontractors is, while we have to have a general contractor that is capable of handling the mission bond requirements and all of that required by the state, we really push to have local subcontractors used as much as possible. And historically, we've been able to use local contractors for as much as about 25% projects. So that usually translates to millions of dollars being retained in the community by those local subcontractors and going out to their suppliers, their employees. So we really push for as much local involvement as we can. There will be an on-site property management company to make sure that the community is friendly and safe and well cared for. And through this process, we have been partnering with the Manistee County Council on Aging, as well as the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. So with that, with this project, we are proposing to have 40. I'm sorry, somebody's asking a question. Okay. So we are proposing to have 49 units total. That will be a new construction development of senior housing. And we're about to get into the pretty picture, so I'm going to turn it over to Kendra, and she will share more details about what it is that we're proposing to build.
Thanks, Kitty. One comment I will make when Kitty mentioned about utilizing local contractors, I personally take this as a very important component. I think you'll see at the West Shore Community College project, 3 of our major trade contractors are local, and they hold contracts of a pretty sizable portion of that project. And the anticipated general contractor for this proposed development, West Construction, Kyle West, is Sandy Amor's son, Tom Amor's stepson. So he's raised in the community and has interest in the community, even though his operations are downstate. So I think that's a great team, and I think that he'll be very successful in infusing local contractors to plug into the project where appropriate. So as Kitty indicated, the proposed project is really 2 parcels. But because it's under one ownership, we're addressing this as one project. So we're gearing up to get drawings submitted for a site plan review with the city. They'll be seeing those drawings tomorrow. Will be on their planning commission's agenda in their January meeting for a special use review and hopefully approval of those site plan drawings. And your support, the chamber and the DDA support is just really important to this project. As Kitty indicated, the two parcels are historically known as the Amor Sign property and the Jones buildings on River Street. And again, we're trying to refer to those as the Amor property being the livery, because historically along that whole stretch of Water Street was where the horse stables were in the liveries. And then the buildings on River Street, the Jones buildings, historically were a hodgepodge of different businesses. But in the later years, it's most historically and probably the longest period of time used as the old Ross Dairy. And so hence we're we're coining it the Dairy Apartments. And a little, point of interest on that, the east building, which would be the 451 River Street building, that'd be the one closest to the United Way. The alley separates United Way and 451. That is Manistee's oldest remaining wood structure in our downtown. So that predates the Great Fire and survived the Great Fire. So it even though right now doesn't necessarily have the best exterior facade, we're going to make it grand again. Or simply grand, because it was simple wood frame lap siding with a little bit of embellishment for some cornice lines and window detailing. So that building in and of itself is an important player. And then the 453 building is just one of the iconic Italianate vernacular architecture in our downtown, even though it saw some, we'll call it modernization over the years. We're going to take it back to a little bit of its original character. So the slide that you see in front of you is outlining the Amor property, and it's about 1.4 acres along Oak Street, which is to the left, and First Street, which is to the bottom. The elevation change from there to Water Street, as you all know, is quite significant. And we'll be constructing a retaining wall that will isolate that hill transition, and that will afford us the ability to get in a new structure and parking. So one fortunate thing on the Amor property is that we do have this little tongue that projects out on the left-hand side out to Pine Street, and that allows us to have a loop of parking with entrances at both Pine Street and toward Water Street. So next slide. So this is the existing building as we know it. Not too much of interest and of glory to it. So we'll be removing this building and constructing a new 4-story building. The livery will have a total of 46 1- and 2-bedroom units. 5 of those will be ADA accessible. The breakdown is 32 1-bedroom units and 14 2-bedrooms. We're finding that 1-bedroom units are more desirable than a 2-bedroom. So we have that mix. And then let's see, the next slide maybe. There you go. Then across the street at the dairy, that will have a historic rehabilitation to the building. And on the upper floors, which have been vacant for my lifetime, it's basically been abandoned for years since Ross Dairy was there, we'll see 3 2-bedroom units. And the main floor, River Street level, will provide the support services for the development, meaning we'll have activity spaces, community room, meeting room, offices, lounge area in that main floor level. So You can see on the slide on the photo on the right-hand side is the Water Street view, the back of the buildings, and you know, we know that this area of our downtown is not so pretty. It's a cobbled up mess, and just doesn't project the image that we'd want for the community. The two single-story additions garage spaces are slated to be removed. And then we'll do a simple entry canopy terrace area that will provide a entry into the building off of Water Street, as well as parking in that area. Next slide. So here's the overall architectural site plan. So we're not going to let the Planning Commission have at it yet for critique of grading and utilities and disbursement and so forth. This is architectural site plan reflecting the concept. So on the south portion where the Amore property is, the livery building, we have a 4-story building planned. You can see how the parking, we're able to take advantage of that access to Pine Street as well as Water Street and loop that around. Main entrance to the livery will be at the upper left-hand corner, the northwest corner, as well as the southwest corner will provide a secondary entrance to the coming in from the parking as well. And this is a preliminary rendering of what that facade may look like. So we're trying to take a property that I consider, I would refer to as an outlot to the main River Street, our National Historic District. This property being an outlot, historically an industrial type of use property, and bring some of that historic flavor to this property. The Amore property does not fall within the historic district per se, but obviously I wouldn't be part of a project if we weren't, you know, cognizant and careful to, you know, have a building that is cohesive, compatible, and reflects and carries through that historic integrity of our downtown. So character, you know, picking up the first floor, having a more rusticated stone, more significant presence, and then the second through fourth floor being relatively simple in character. I'm hoping that we're able to infuse masonry products similar to what we used at the West Shore Community College project, where we have detailed with some brick, some simple top cornice line, just to give a little bit of detailing, and windows, you know, that are in proportion to what we would see in a historic building, meaning they're typically taller than they are wide. You're also seeing on this rendering off of the living room spaces of each of the units, what I'll refer to as a Juliet balcony. So it's not a balcony where you walk out and dance with your friends and barbecue. It's just a simple 16 to 18 inch projection. North Channel Brewery has a couple of these. I think they're off the stairwells, maybe ends of the North Channel Brewery. So we'd look to hopefully be able to have those on this. Also, you'll see in the middle portion a little bit of detailing, and then also off to the right. We're looking, that middle portion is a small community room in this building. We're proposing a little plaza outside of that community room. And then we're looking to incorporate some of the city's streetscape stone walls and a little bit of fencing and some light post. So that takes what's happening in the downtown district and starts to bring it up Water Street. We also, the entrance into the parking area along Pine Street, we'd look to do something similar to that with a stone sill wall. And then at the dairy building, this is again just a crude sketch rendering of what we're anticipating on the south side, the Water Street view of the building. There you go. What a difference. So what we would be doing again is taking off the single-story garage spaces, creating a terrace entry with a simple canopy roof line coming across those two buildings. We do have some grading changes from what the grade level is to the finished floor. So we've got ADA barrier-free ramp and some stairs that bring us up to that floor level. And again, going back to the building on the right is the wood frame structure. So we're anticipating that we'll be doing some type of lap siding and some simple wood panel transit detailing at the head. And then the building on the left is masonry, and we would be looking to continue that masonry, clean that up, and continue the masonry down. On the left-hand side, we're able to provide the tenants a separate entrance so that they have a secure separate entrance from the rest of the spaces. So, next one. So floor plan wise, I won't spend too much time, but again, we're getting at the livery, 46 1 and 2 bedroom units. Again, your entrance points into the building are on the left side, the west side, both at that top corner, and then the secondary entrance at the lower left. And these units are and this is a floor plan, conceptual floor plan for the dairy, with the lower plan being the main floor plan. You can see the entry coming in off a parking area, a secured entrance to the stairwell for the tenants of the 3 units upstairs, and lobby, gathering spaces, community activity rooms, and offices. And then upstairs, the three units. All of these units will be developed, in a modern design kitchens. All of these are done with kitchen islands, energy efficiency. Oh, there's a slide. We're designing these buildings incorporating enterprise green energy efficiency design standards. You may be familiar with the organization that would be LEED certified. We've done buildings that are LEED certified. We find working with the Enterprise Green Energy group is a little more streamlined in their processing. Requirements are very similar. So these units, these buildings, but in particular for the tenants' benefit, they're all responsible for their own utility costs, and so energy efficiency is important to help them be able to pay their normal utility costs. So kitchen package, full appliances, dishwasher, garbage disposal, refrigerator, microwave, range. These are central air. These are all walk-in closets or large closets with quite a bit of storage space. We have pantries, linen closets, so forth. Computer outlets, cable TV, hookups, community meeting room spaces. The other thing that's a little interesting to this project is that the project will have what we're calling a senior community van, and we'll orchestrate that with the Council on Aging for them to operate it, but it'll be purchased and secured, procured through part of this project. And that will allow management to provide some private transportation to facilitate the needs of the seniors. Dial-a-ride is wonderful, but there are certain limits that dial-a-ride can and cannot do. And one example would be, taking someone to a doctor's appointment and waiting for them and being able to take them back. So that's just one example. So senior community van is part of this project. Your support of this project is very important to us. Again, I think we're doing things that are in keeping with what the community would want, what the downtown and your organization, the DDA, goals are, and that's one, taking a River Street property that has basically been obsolete, underutilized for a number of years, that being the Jones Building, the 451 and 453 properties, doing historic rehabilitation that's been long overdue on those buildings, plugging in housing on the upper floors, which is what we are doing throughout the rest of our downtown district, and then infusing some activity on the main floor of that building. The second property, the livery, is taking, again, what I refer to as an outlet property and developing it in a manner that's in keeping and in support of the downtown district as a whole, by providing housing that's desperately needed. One thing I did forget to mention, and Al, if you still have control, can you take us back to the architectural site plan? Whoop, there. Yeah, kind of zoom in. So on the River Street building, between the 451 building and the United Way building is an alleyway that is part of this parcel. And what we'll be, excuse me, what we'll be developing is what I call a pocket park. And that will be a thoroughfare, provide for a thoroughfare and walkability for the users of this development. So the livery, the tenants in the livery have easy access to meander across the street through this pocket park and have direct access to River Street and the new pizza restaurant. So, and that's an important element to providing that connectivity between this outlet building and our downtown historic district. So, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Thank you, Kendra, Kitty, and Malin. Does anybody have any questions for any of these folks?
I have a couple of questions, maybe just one. First, Kendra, great job on these. Kitty, nice to meet you. I am happy to see that some of these obsolete properties are going to potentially see some changes, and they look very positive. But one question that I have about this project is, how do we ensure that, you know, being that it's basically lower income and age discriminant, that we keep the residents accountable? Is there the management? I've heard management a few times, so there'll be staff and management on hand at this site. Basically, I just want to make sure it doesn't turn into Century Terrace, because it's awfully close to downtown. So it's going to look really pretty the first couple of years, but if Mima feels bad for her granddaughter who's got 7 kids, I want to make sure that we're not. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, and honestly, you know, that's one of the benefits with having a local project development team, is that, you know, our name is attached to this. You know, Kendra's name is attached, our name is attached. And so, you know, we have a personal stake as well as the broader community to ensuring that the property is managed appropriately. And one of the most crucial components of that is the on-site management. And we have a tax credit project. There's several layers of protection essentially for that. Number one is, if there's any concerns, it's pretty easy once folks are aware that this project is going on, for folks to be reaching to myself, reaching out to Kendra, reaching out to Sarah Howard at the Manistee County Council on Aging, to let us know, hey, there's an issue going on, and we can jump in and address it. The on-site management company that we are working with is a very experienced group, and they do a fantastic job. We're working with them at our other projects in Hart and Shelby. And so they're going to have staff on site to ensure that everything remains orderly. You know, we will have contracts in place that specifies that, yeah, even though your daughter's having a hard time and you want to move in those 7 other family members, that violates the lease, and it can't be done. Aside from just that local presence, if, let's say, we were to completely neglect the site and management completely, neglects the site, the next step is that the city can contact MSHDA, and MSHDA will get involved, because for a period we have compliance, and Al can explain this a little bit better, but basically for 45 years, MSHDA is going to be involved with this project and the site as well. So they're going to have expectations about how well it's managed and how well it is kept up in appearance, and how fiscally responsible it is. So there's some direct financial implications aside from just the broader community impact of having housing that, I'm trying to find the word, but essentially that becomes problematic. So
And
there's
if I
several
could
layers,
just-
several layers of recourse.
When we also have oversight from our investors, which are private corporations like PNC Bank or TCF Bank, which we don't have our investors lined up yet specifically, but do annual inspections. Our friends at whatever bank we use for financing, they do annual inspections. So we're quite confident that the building is going to continue to be an amazing product inside and out. And I can get you examples. Piper's been company of choice for me my entire career. My first project, we broke ground in 2001. It's in a little town north of Flint, Michigan. And I'll tell you, it looks just as good today as it did the day we opened. And I actually do drive through there every now and then just to check on it, because it's kind of like my baby. It was the first one, and it was the most painful. So they do a good job, and we will be in constant contact with the city to make sure everything is going as it's supposed to be.
There are also,
Can I
go on.
If I could just interject, a couple of things. One is exactly what Al is saying. I'd encourage you to go visit properties that are managed and developed with this team. And I found them to be nothing but spectacular. Secondly, these properties are being developed not as what I would call low income, James. These are affordable senior housing. And there is a large percentage of folks in our community that will qualify for this. And this isn't free rent. Every tenant that's in here, unlike Century Terrace, is paying rent. So they have an income and they have the ability to pay rent. And now that rent fluctuates depending on that income. But Century Terrace has a number of players that actually have no payment at all. So there's a pretty significant difference, I think, when we look at a project like that.
We should be clear. We're not a Section 8 project. We are not a HUD financed project. And if you have to have income to pay your rent. We have 3 layers of rent depending on your income, but it's not income based, if that makes sense. So if you only make $100 a month, you would
more
pay $30 at Century Terrace.
Management side of it, not so
So
much.
that doesn't work for us.
I think that you're hitting on the important piece. One, I'd just like to say hello to Kitty. I have heard years of praise for your work from my husband, Daryl Goodman, who has worked with you down in Oceana County for years. And so he has sung your praises for years. I think that the important thing that Jim gets into is that we have to have the right management. We have an off-site management over at Harbor Village, and it's a problem. We do have people that bring 15 other people into the buildings, and it's a mess. So on-site management is important. The other thing too is that everybody needs to know that we have over 50% of our population that would fall into the federal levels of poverty. So, if a person's income-based type of status is going to stop them, you have to know that our seniors will fall into that poverty level. it all comes back to people's behavior and keeping them accountable. And so that's where, and as part of the Housing Commission over there at Century Terrace, you know, it's like, we need to clean this up. We need to keep people accountable. We need to make sure the rules are enforced. All that stuff is going to fall back on your management company and holding them accountable. And the city has to hold them accountable as well.
I have a question just on the River Street buildings. Just knowing that from what you guys said, I saw that it said multifamily / senior housing. For the River Street units, there's only going to be a couple units. Are those just for seniors? I feel that more younger people would be better suited for the River Street units. I feel like a lot of tradespeople are having trouble finding housing. And
Can I ask who's speaking?
This is Madeline at Millennial Decor. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Can we save questions from the public for public comment?
Oh, of course.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Is any other questions from the board?
Kyle, this is Thad. It's not a question, it's a comment.
Okay.
As they indicated, they're going to go after MSHDA tax credits, which requires a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes from the city. And if that is granted, the DDA would lose about $3,000 annually in their TIF revenue. It's certainly not a huge amount compared to what our annual operating budget is, but just in full disclosure, I just wanted the board to know that there is going to be a very slight loss of revenue.
But that's on that one site. It's not, it's only on what's in the district, right?
Correct. They're all in the district.
Oh, I didn't think the Amor was in the district.
It is.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Amor's not in the historic district, but it is in the DDA district.
Okay. All right.
But still, you know,
That's not bad then.
Yeah. My personal opinion is $3,000 to get a project of that magnitude in the DDA district and to meet an identified need in the community. I think it's worth it.
Well, it seems very reputable, and it seems to have some pretty reputable people that we've worked with before behind it. So it sounds, and it's pretty exciting.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Kyle, this is Mark. I just want to point the development team, Kitty and others, to a question that's in the chat. Perhaps they can answer that question offline. And it's from Tamara, which is, how will banks and credit unions be able to have an opportunity to participate in a bid package? So I will ask the developers to perhaps answer that offline for Tamara.
Thanks for pointing that out, Mark.
Yeah, if you could shoot me that information, Mark, via email, we will definitely reach out.
Okay, and I'll look for it in a minute.
Okay, thank you, Kitty. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bruce.
Two things. You know, first a comment. You know, I'm heartbroken. I'm not going to be able to get a table at Furcanos now. What's the timeline on this development?
Yeah, we're applying for tax credits on February 1st with our friends at MSHDA. If all goes well and our COVID doesn't mess up our schedule too badly, we should hear back from them beginning of the summer. And if all goes well, we'll be ready to break ground before Halloween.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how long? What's the project duration?
Probably 12 to 16 months for construction. And then I'm guessing with as strong as the market is there, it would probably take only 3 or 4 months to get it completely full.
Excellent. Is Kendra still on?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you.
West Shore is beautiful. So I know these are going to be gorgeous. Great project.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bruce. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Kitty. Alan, nice work, Kendra. Appreciate your time. Thanks for presenting this to us and joining us in the meeting.
Thank you.
So can I move on and ask for approval of the minutes from the November 18 meeting?
I would make that motion.
And who was that? Sorry.
Ken.
All right, thanks, Ken. Motion from Ken.
Support.
Support from Tamara, I think. And any further discussion? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Tamara DePonio.
Yes.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Ed Taylor.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Bruce Allen.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
Karen Goodman.
You're muted, Karen.
I did see your thumbs up. Okay. The motion passed.
Thank you, Kelly. Approval of financials from November 2020. Stacy, do you want to speak up on the financials at all, or?
Yeah, just to let everyone know, I was able to get access to QuickBooks, so I've been kind of diving in a little bit more to the DDA's financials, and then also would like hopefully to sit down with the accountant and possibly Tamara when we get a couple minutes, and then still working on the RFP to look at what the DDA needs from an accounting services. So I've asked the current accountant if there is a contract right now with the DDA, and just looking at what services she does provide, so that when we go out for an RFP that we can be kind of consistent, and if there's more needed from that. We do have currently 4 checks that need to be signed, so if I could rope a couple of you in that are able to sign checks, I do have 4 of those at our office currently. So that's kind of where we're at on everything right now, just trying to, and then we will be transferring once we move into the new building, getting all the mail forwarded, so we will have staff on site that'll hopefully kind of streamline a lot of that process to get things going a little quicker.
Thanks, Stacy.
Yep.
I'll be back in town tomorrow. I can sign if you don't get them before then.
Okay. Is there anyone else that's available?
I can sign too, Stacy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Any questions on the financial documents in front of you?
Can I just add one more thing, Kyle? Yeah. At the last meeting, we talked about an outstanding invoice to Wheezy's. That is in one of the checks to be signed. So I do want to mention that that is going to be handled and sent to them once I get those signed.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make that motion to approve the financials from the November 20th.
Thanks, James.
I'll support that.
Support from Thad, motion from James. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please, Kelly.
Karen Goodman.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
Bruce Allen.
Yes.
Jim Boudry.
Yes. Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
Ed Taylor.
Yes.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Tamara DePonio.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 7, committee reports, design. I don't believe we have a design committee report. The committee did not meet yesterday. So I'll move on from there to business development. Do we have a business development report? Mark, I think?
Yes, Kyle, I've got one for you here. So
thanks.
We had a meeting in the last month where we covered the status of our next event, which is Entrepreneurial Day. Ken Urban suggested some very good agenda items for the event, such as social media marketing from a local local expert, I should say. So we're working on the agenda for that day, which we'll set a date for March of 2021. We also covered future Spark events, including the need to develop mentoring programs for winners and participants. So that was a good discussion. And as a follow-up to the meeting, we have reached out to the last winner, Joanne Snee, who is still waiting for something to break on the COVID side of things for her business plan and development. So that's where we're at with that. We also had in the interim a request from Madeline Fitzsimmons from Millennium Decor, has asked and volunteered to serve on the Business Development Committee. So we need to ask if that can be approved so she can be appointed to that committee. So that's the end of my report on that. We'll see if anybody else has any comments, questions.
Great, thank you, Mark. Are you recommending Madeline as an appointment to that committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that need to be voted on? I don't know.
That is.
What's that?
I'd go ahead and second it if we need to do that.
I would entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion to add Madeline Fitzsimmons to the Business Development Committee.
I'll support that.
Great. Motion from James, support from Thad. Further discussion? Thank you for joining us, Madeline. I hope you accept, and we would take a roll call, Kelly.
Tamara DePonio.
Yes.
Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Thad Taylor.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Bruce Allen.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
Karen Goodman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, Madeline.
Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Moving on to item C. Am I going to put you back in the spotlight, Mark? Gateway Development Ad Hoc Committee?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Let me give you all an update. There's been quite a bit of work going on here. So negotiations are continuing with the project, and the role of the DDA in supporting this transformational development is still very front and center. The city and the DDA have participated in what I believe is 4 meetings. I'm losing count. We're getting a lot of conversations. So at least 4 formal meetings. The developers have taken in stakeholder comments and made some alterations to the plans. We hope to have more for you in the near future on that. The focus right now is to work on the brownfield redevelopment plan and using those financial instruments to assist the project. The DDA will have and can play a strong leadership role with this. The Brownfield Authority also has preliminary given the nod to move forward on developing the plan. So they received an application and then approved that and then have encouraged the plan development. So there's essentially conceptual support for that. The next step when you get a plan is to take it to the state. So the Environmental Department, EGLE, formerly DEQ, and MEDC, the Economic Development Agency, will have a review of that plan, a work plan, and then they will be able to assess how they might be able to assist the project. So that's our bid for some additional state funding. Now, bottom line for us is we will have details and some more information that we can share with the DDA board members perhaps by the next meeting for review, and we're aiming for that. In the meantime, we're going to have a lot of committee work and discussions between the DDA subcommittee and city staff and the developers. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions for Mr. Miller? Okay. Stacy, did you want to add something for design?
Yeah, sure. I can do it when during the report if the director's report.
Okay, all right.
Do that,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thanks again, Mark. Moving on to director's report.
Thanks, Kyle. You teed that up nicely. Yeah, I just quickly wanted to add, I'll kind of have my staff break off into their respective reports, but we're working on finalizing the audit, so we'll see that later in the agenda, so I'll wait till that item comes up. And then also, as far as the design committee, I have all the design committee documents from the Google Drive, so we will be scheduling those for the future. And then probably adding a couple more people to that committee as well. Like I said, we're working on the financial piece to get that all squared away, and then everything's set from that. So I think what I'll have right now is kind of turn it over to Christina to kind of talk about her piece, and then I'll just interject here and there if needed.
Good morning, everybody. Just letting you know, the merchant meetings are continuing every 2 weeks. The final meeting for the year is the 22nd of December. About 12 to 15 merchants attend each meeting, and this continues to be a good connection point where they can share between them, but best practices, things like that, express needs between each other with kind of changing circumstances. Some are doing really well, some are struggling right now, and so they talk through some of those things and try and help each other market and cross market. It's also a way for us from the DDA, the Chamber, and the CVB to get updates out to them. Port City Emporium, new business opened on 11/23. We did a small ribbon cutting. They didn't want to do a lot of fanfare to not have, attract so many people at one time, but we're hearing lots of good things about them. And they've been joining the merchant meetings. And then for downtown, we've had quite a bit of media that we just wanted to let you know about. There's been 4 Manistee News Advocate articles, a lot of them centered around small business. And then 9 and 10 News, we've done 4 segments that have taped downtown. So again, a lot in support of small business and other things that are going on with economic development. So that is my merchant report.
Thank you, Christina, and thanks for all the work that you're doing with the merchants. Appreciate it.
Kyle, we have the next piece, I believe, so I'll jump in here. We'll give you a quick report on what's going on with economic development. So I wanted to let you all know that work continues on Fricano's on the Manistee River. That's going to be the official name. And Bruce, I think I know somebody. I might be able to get you a reservation if you're concerned about missing out on a seat.
Thank you.
The Oprah application, which is a tax abatement incentive, has been deemed complete by the State Treasury Department, and it will be heard at the State Tax Commission hearing on December 15th. I have inquired, and we know that state staff has recommended approval. So it should be complete. That will allow Ted to move forward on having that tax incentive for the 2021 tax year. So that's a real positive thing. The city and the chamber moved very quickly to make sure that that was done, and so it's one of those things we want to tout. Just that we are helping business and making it easier in Manistee. Just want to also let you know that within the DDA district, the Northern Hotel, which is at 141 to 149 Washington Street, it's the very northern end of the district, that's back on the market. And so the current owner is selling that for development opportunities. I've attended several showings with different clients to help communicate the incentives and the status on that. It's in the opportunity zone. We also have worked with the city assessor to, in the first step in receiving an Oprah designation, the city assessor has to deem it obsolete. We went through with Molly Whetstone 3 weeks ago, I think, to go ahead and get that started so that whoever purchases can then take the next steps in getting that tax abatement incentive. Again, on the incentives, the city is not out any money. It just delays the increase in the property taxes for anywhere from 6 to 12 years. Also, the chamber is working with the city and county planning department on recertifying the redevelopment ready community program for the city. This program assists with the redevelopment of underutilized sites. Currently, the top 5 RRC sites are being redeveloped or under consideration for redevelopment. Fricano's is one. The River Water Development, which you've heard about this morning, is 2 more. Both Amore and the Jones Dairy Building were priority sites for the city. So you count American Cleaners was another one, and a 5th, Ironworks Building. Our top 5 are all under development or have something underway or about to be underway. So in our recertification, we're going to submit underutilized sites, and what we'd like to do is invite, and this will be public noticed and an invitation will be forthcoming, but the city council will host a meeting for recertification and presentation, which I'll do on January 12th. We will invite the DDA board to participate and offer their input on how to prioritize those next 6 sites. I talked to MEDC yesterday, and we're going to go with 6 as being kind of the sweet number for prioritization. That's there's just one more piece. There's a number of economic development projects going forward with new business owners, and so just want to let you know that that's not fallen off. We're having conversations with several prospective business owners to put their businesses into downtown, and so we're moving along in that vein as well. So a lot of work is being done, and so we again appreciate the DDA's support of economic development through their contract.
Great, thank you, Mark. Anything else, Stacy? Okay.
No, I think we've covered it.
Thank you, Stacy, Christina, and Mark. Really appreciate everything you guys are doing. Moving on to item 9, old business. Approval of draft financial statements and representation letter. Stacy.
Yeah, so this is the last piece for the audit. So approval at the board meeting of those draft financials. And I want to apologize to Kelly that obviously made a very large DDA board packet. So hopefully everyone was able to review those draft financials. And then if we could have a motion to approve those. And then also, Kyle, if I track you down tomorrow, to have you sign that representation letter, and then I can package that over to the auditor, and we should be able to get all that closed out for the year.
Okay. I'm sorry I printed this. Any questions about this discussion? And if not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Thad, thank you.
Second.
Also.
Support from James, I believe. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call please, Kelly.
Ken Urban,
Yes.
Bruce Allen,
Yes.
Karen Goodman,
Yes.
James Boudry,
Yes.
Jody Walter,
Yes.
Kyle Mosier,
Yes.
Thad Taylor,
Yes.
Tamara DePonio. Yes. Okay, motion passed.
Thank you. I know Stacy's happy to have this passed for thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Housekeeping has to be done. Item B, Lasky sculpture again. Mr. Miller.
So just a brief report here. The conversations are continuing between West Shore Community College City Council member Nick Szymanski, who's also a proxy for Leslie Lasky, on the location and the conditions of the placement. So it will be associated with the West Shore Community College project, and that's where the donation of the sculpture is going to go. So what's remaining are several legal issues that will resolve location and ownership of where it's going to sit, but everyone's agreeable to having community public art in this location. So moving forward, hopefully they'll be resolved. The deadline for us all is that Mr. Lasky will be celebrating his 100th birthday in, I believe, July. He's going to throw a party in the Manistee area, and so we hope to get that placed before his celebration for his 100th birthday.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark, for seeing that through. Moving on to item C, DDA Development Plan. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, as everyone knows, our plan was approved as part of our TIF extension. And it's kind of set dormant because we've had so many different things going on. And I would suggest that we hold at least one special meeting to take a look at that development plan and see how we're going to implement it. And I think it's really important now with these exciting projects that we have going on in the district. We have the Gateway project, we have the River Water project, we have Fracano's. And I think there's a lot of things that we could do as a board and implement some of our projects in that development plan that would really enhance those projects in the downtown. So I just think it's important to get together and talk about how we're going to do this and how we're going to accomplish everything we have in our plan. So I would just ask that if the board is interested, that the chamber set up some type of special meeting.
I did this morning.
I completely agree. I'm wondering if maybe we could ask Mark to help us out in finding a day, maybe a poll or something. How much time do you think we need, Thad?
I think it's going to, if we could commit to 2 hours,
okay.
I think that's a good start.
Okay. Could you help us with that, Mark? Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
And as Kyle, as part of that, once the chamber agrees or gets an agreement on a meeting date and time, if they could send out the development plan to all the DDA board members so they have it for review.
Great.
Just a note, I think I sent it out at the beginning after the last meeting, Thad, and I believe it should be posted on the DDA website, but I'd be happy to send it out again if you'd like.
Yeah, Stacy, maybe if you could just send it to everybody so it's fresh
Okay.
at your convenience.
And then that may be an opportunity too, if at some point, if we have a Google Drive that all DDA board members could access so that all the documents are in there. I don't know if that would be something to make it easier for everybody, because I know things get lost in emails because we all get an abundance of them. But if that would be something that everyone would be willing to do, I think that would make it easier on you guys as well as us too.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's make it a requirement.
Okay. Thanks, Kyle. We've already got it set up.
Looks like James is in full support.
Yeah, thumbs up, James.
Thanks, James. Do we need a motion for that? I'm just asking.
Oh, no, it's a mandate. As if we don't have enough mandates right now. Okay, then I'm going to move on to Christina with Downtown Dollars. There you are.
Hello. All right, so we brought this to the merchants as requested by the DDA board, not this meeting yesterday, but the prior meeting, which was 11/24. And here was the feedback that was received, and Ken can jump in as well if I missed something or if he heard something different, he was there. They said accessibility for the Downtown Dollars has been an issue, especially after hours for purchases. Lee from Jack Pine had mentioned that those have been available on the Jack Pine website, but most on the call were not aware that those were available for purchase there. The program was poorly supported and promoted. One merchant stated they received $75 in 2019 and also $75 in 2020. So they were not seeing a great amount of these dollars rolling through their business. Someone else mentioned that large businesses used to purchase more Downtown Dollars at the beginning of the program, but employees wanted larger retailers, so the buying dropped off. Again, don't have any experience, but that was what was mentioned. Schneider's was happy to switch to a new program. They were happy with that something new could bring more excitement to the community and hopefully more dollars downtown. They had also offered to sell downtown dollars several times, but weren't contacted. So that was an issue from them. And then one merchant said they like a county-wide program as it's good to support all areas in the county. It provides more options for locals and tourists to spend their money within the county. And the Vogue mentioned that the downtown dollars were confusing for their volunteers. Sometimes they got thrown away, or sometimes they gave them back to the people that were, purchasing with them. They just didn't know what to do with them because they didn't look like a certificate. And they just felt it was best to have one program. So that was what I heard and wrote down.
Okay, thank you, Christina. I just want to add maybe just some history to the program. I'll play the old guy here. So that program was always a downtown merchants program. It was not owned or run by the Downtown Development Authority. And when the DDA decided to go with the Main Street program, the Downtown Merchants Committee fell underneath the 4-point approach for the Main Street program, the Marketing and Promotions Committee. And so that's when the DDA sort of took on the administration of the downtown dollars. And I would say that although it was probably the responsibility of the DDA to market it and advertise it, I think that's where it sort of fell off. No fault of anybody's, but that's where we're at today. And I think it's ultimately up to the merchants what, is my opinion, what the future of that program. So the Manistee County Cash Program is moving forward. It's a great program. But if there's a consensus from the merchants on the Downtown Dollars program, that would be my recommendation on how to proceed with that program. Just get a consensus.
And from my standpoint, I've got one statement and one question. The problems with downtown dollars seem to be process issues. So it's not a problem with the program, it's a problem with the process. They're too hard to access and it requires training. Those are both addressable through process fixes rather than throwing out the whole system. So we shouldn't base our decision to throw away downtown dollars based on faulty process. So that's just a statement and from my background in process analysis and review. The question I have, and this is for Christina directly, is you reported the comments from the people in the merchant meeting. What comments did you get from people that weren't in the merchant meeting? Because we only have, 10 or maybe a dozen people in these merchant meetings. There's a lot more merchants. So what did you hear from those other folks?
And there hasn't been a way to just address every merchant. We could send out an email or a poll if that's the direction the board would like to go. But we have not done anything but the merchant meeting. Stacy, do you have another idea?
Well, just to address that, I think on another note, we're trying to get access to all the merchants and compile a database so that we have every merchant in the downtown district listed. So that is an ongoing project. We didn't have something specific before, so Christina is working on that. We do have an intern that we've been working with to try to do that. So we could take that list of all the ones we have an email and just do a quick survey so that we gather that data and have some questions that pertain to the process and things like that. If that would be something the board or Ken, if you'd be willing to help us with, I think that might be a good route to take.
Well, and the one other thing I'd add there is that one of the advantages of an executive director for the DDA is that we as a board expect them to be the forward public facing face of the DDA. So that doesn't mean sending emails. It means being a face, we shouldn't default to talking to people via email. We should have, at least my thought is that it should be face to face. I know that's a lot of time, but I'd expect that of a DDA director.
So are you asking us to go into every individual merchant and talk to them face to face on that?
Well, I'm not asking that directly. I'm just saying that in my mind, that's what I'd see a DDA director doing. I don't speak for the whole board. A board speaks with a single voice. So I'm just expressing my opinion, and whether the board decides that they want to direct you as acting in the stead of a DDA director as an organization to do that, that's something for the board to decide. I'm just expressing my opinion.
Now, if I can make a comment. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but I think at this particular time in our life, I wouldn't want to push the chamber to go make face-to-face contacts with businesses just because of the COVID issues. And number two, some of them aren't necessarily open. And I think right now we should, if we want some feedback, I think we do an email or some kind of a survey or something to get us moving forward. Now going forward, when the situation changes, maybe we can look at it differently. But I think if we want some instant, immediate feedback, my only suggestion would be do some kind of a survey.
Could I ask a question? And this is just a question out of ignorance. How important is this issue? I mean, in the grand scheme of all the things that the DDA is doing, do we rise and fall on the format and content of the Downtown Dollars program? I mean, I don't know. I have an opinion, but I want to know how important it is to other people, because I mean, there are a lot of ways to use our resources, and the Stacy's and Mark's and Christine's time is valuable. This is not how I would want them to spend their time. So I just want to hear from other people.
Thanks for your comments. I'll just remind the folks in the meeting that the DDA just administers the program. We do the accounting for it. So I feel like it's up to the merchants, and if it's as easy as sending out a poll for opinions, I would support that. But I sort of agree with Bruce, and question maybe how important it is and how much time we spend on it. But that's also my opinion. So
I'd mirror that too, Bruce and Kyle. I mean, everybody knows where I stand on the Downtown Dollars. If we could just do this quickly, send something out, hopefully in a couple of weeks we get an answer where the merchants fall. If it's 51-50 opposed, then we get rid of it. If it's 51-49 or whatever, then we keep it. But if we could do something quick so we don't have to waste 20 minutes on this every month, it would be awesome.
yeah, if there was a poll, I would just encourage not to ask for a lot of opinions, but ask more direct questions on the direction of the program.
100%.
And I just want to add real quick, Kyle, like we do visit merchants in person. So Ken, I hope you do know that we are out as much as we can be. And Thad mentioned COVID, so that has, caused some constraints, but we do try to get our faces out there, so we're not just behind a screen. So I just want to mention that. And I know Christina's done a really good job of doing that. Mark's out and about, as well as myself. So, and I think us moving to that new building is going to position us really well in the downtown district as well, to have more interaction with the merchants as well. So.
Great, thank you. Any further comments on this? Let's move on to item E, DDA strategic planning session. Stacy.
Actually, can I throw that back at you?
Yeah, so I'm just in discussions, I'm recommending that we forego a strategic planning session day and focus on the DDA development plan that Thad brought up. And I would just ask open the floor up for opinion on this, if anybody has one.
Kyle, this is Thad. I would wholeheartedly support your comments. I think we need to work on that development plan, flesh it out, see how we're going to implement it. And then at some point, you know, and that's probably going to be driving any kind of a strategic plan we develop in the future. So I think we focus on that development plan.
Okay. Any other comments from board members on this? Then I'm going to make it so. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, new business, approval of the DDA 2021 board meeting schedule. I didn't really study these. I'm assuming that these are all what, the second Wednesday of every morning at 8 a.m. Oh yeah,
Yep.
it says that right there.
Yep. You are correct.
Yeah, all right, I'm on top of it. Does this need a vote?
I would just ask, and just with a couple challenges in the mornings, is it possible at 8:30 or even 8 to set these meetings at 8:15? I don't want to cause a burden for everybody, but I just would ask that if that's possible to consider that. If not, I understand, then we can keep it at 8 a.m.
How about 6?
That actually would work better than 8.
I don't have any issues with that. Anybody else have? Feel free to speak up.
Going to 8:30 then?
Or 8:15. I mean, just yeah.
8:30 works for me.
Okay.
I don't know how it fits into everybody else's life.
Okay. All right. Well, if I don't hear anything, then I think I would just ask for a motion to approve these dates, and if somebody wants to add in a new time, that would be fine.
Al, I move that we, for 2021, meet on the second Wednesday of each month at 8:30 a.m.
Okay, motion from Thad.
I'll support that.
Thank you, Bruce. Any further discussion?
I just have one question for the board. When we are able to resume in person, I would hope we'd all be excited to be at the new West Shore College building downtown, if that would work for everybody. They have obviously the new technology, multiple meeting rooms. So if that would be an option to do that, I would see if we can set that up once we're able to resume in person.
I would agree if refreshments are involved.
I'm sure we could handle that. James is right across the street.
Thank you.
We'll write that into the budget. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Are we adding to that motion to meet at the new building? Or does that not have to be part of it?
I don't think that has to be part of it. Let's just add the 8:30, and when we're ready, we can make that decision when the building's ready.
Okay. Tamara DePonio. Yes. Kyle Mosier.
Yes.
Thad Taylor.
Yes.
Jody Walter.
Yes.
James Boudry.
Yes.
Bruce Allen.
Yes.
Ken Urban.
Yes.
And Karen left, correct?
Looks like it.
All right, so the motion passed.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Item B, lighting and streetscape on Maple Street to Ramsdell Theater. Who's got this one?
That would be me.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
So I just want to let everyone know that a city council member has requested that the DDA consider treatment of from Maple Street to River Street. So basically River Street to the Ramsdell Theater with streetscape elements such as lampposts and benches. So the same treatment that's on River Street, move it up towards the Ramsdell. So that's a request coming in from a city council member. And so the motivation there is to encourage walking and development of that historic stretch up to the Ramsdell. And the question here is whether the DDA proceeds with this consideration and how to move forward on the request. So that's the question for the board.
I guess it's city property. I'm not sure where the DDA fits into it. I mean, is there construction scheduled for that block?
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
What is the city council member asking? Just for support of the design?
My understanding is that the DDA should put that into the budget to put in those lampposts and park benches. So that's my understanding.
Okay, I don't recall the DDA paying for streetscapes. I think we were contributors, but let's just, any other board member? Go ahead.
I would offer that maybe that's a topic we discuss when we talk about our development plan and how we want to implement that. That might be a good fit.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about that item? Okay, moving on to item C that we added, resignation of board member. I received a letter from Barry Lind, resignation letter this week, and his resignation was effective immediately. And I just want to say publicly, I want to thank Barry for his service of over 10 years. Barry was on the board before I was on the board originally, then left and came back, and Barry was still on the board, and he has contributed greatly. So I just want to publicly thank Barry for everything that he's brought to the DDA and his service.
I guess I'd just make a motion that we formally accept his letter of resignation with regret, because he has been a contributor for a lot of years.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor from Thad.
I'll support that.
Here, support from Bruce. I will submit that letter to Kelly.
Well, I've already taken care of that. I
Okay.
sent it to the city clerk and asked her to start advertising.
Okay, great. Thanks, Thad. Any discussion, comments? Roll call, please, Kelly.
Bruce Allen,
Yes.
Thad Taylor,
Yes.
Tamara DePonio,
Yes.
Kyle Mosier,
Yes.
Jody Walter,
Yes.
James Boudry,
Yes.
and Ken Urban.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment.
That's me. Hello, everyone.
And we have Madeline.
Yes, this is Madeline from Millennial Decor. I recently, some of you know me, but I just wanted to introduce myself as well. I have been living here for 4 years, and I worked for Ed Kriskowitz, helping him do construction. I was his assistant for 3 years, and I've been watching Manistee, and I love everything, and I love the fact that so much development is happening. I'm just like filled with joy. Oh my gosh. Do we still have Kitty on about the...
I don't see Kitty on anymore.
Okay, because I can ask. I just had a question about the building and the age stuff.
I'm here.
Oh, hi.
We have Kendra.
Hello, Kendra. I just had a quick question about the...
Yeah, if I can answer anything.
Yes. So I know for the tax credits, we have not, you have to do the age stuff, but I was wondering for the River Street building, is that going to be senior housing as well? And is that like 65 and over? I saw that there was going to be an elevator in that building. I just want to know a little more info on that. Okay.
Yeah, so we have to first project as one of the others. So this is a senior housing development, and
Okay.
I believe the age is 55 and up.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Got
the dairy property as well as the livery would all be affordable senior housing. 55, I think, is the criteria.
Got it. Okay, I just missed that. I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Kendra. Anything else, Madeline?
I think that's it. We have our Downtown Development Committee meeting next week, so I can ask more questions further then.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us and welcome. Thank you for volunteering as well. Any other public comment? Moving on to comments from board members.
This is just an idea. I'm not sure which committee, but as we develop and do new additions to downtown, would it be appropriate to maybe consider requiring a set aside for large development projects for public sculpture? I know that that is something that you see in lots of building plans for public or quasi-public spaces. So just an idea to throw out there. The Lasky sculpture will be a nice addition to downtown. And I think that would be a way to, again, provide a reason for people to walk around downtown. So just an idea.
Cool, yeah. Thanks, Ken. Anyone else?
Maybe that could be included in the DDA development plan or something.
Yeah, I was thinking.
And Chairman Moser, there's a good deal to report on this. Councilmember Szymanski has plans for additional donations of public art, so I can update you on as we do that development plan on what that looks like right now.
Great. If nobody else has any comments, I just want to thank our contractors, the chamber team, Stacy, Christina, and Mark. I've been trying to work closer with you guys and be a part of the meetings of the Gateway Project and stuff, and it's become apparent to me the amount of work that you guys are doing, not just with the DDA, but everything else. So with the merchants and economic development. So I just want to thank you, and I'm glad. I think we're getting things smoothed out. The financials are falling in line. So thanks for keeping pushing the ball up the hill.
Thanks, Kyle.
If nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Thad. Thank you. Support?
I'll support that. Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right. Thanks, James. Okay. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.